Hi, my name's Darren and welcome to my workshop. Happy New Year. And we're going to kick the new year off with a 3D Prints in the Workshop episode. You may recall that Christmas before last I released a little Roundover template. I don't know if you can see little holes in there. Well, a gentleman by the name of LooseArrow has put this one up on Thingiverse, and this is a, what does he call it? He calls it the Corner Roundover template. Fairly straightforward name. It has 4 radii, 10, 15, 20 and 25, and you can see here it's got like a little fence that so it just sits in on the corner of the wood and makes it easy to mark. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so it's very straightforward. We pick the radius we want, and while they're not marked on the unit, it's easy to see from the size. 10, 15, 20 and 25. Let's do the 20. We'll pop the 20 in the corner here, and we will just run our pencil around, and there we are. I'll bring that up a little bit closer and you can see there's our roundover marked out, ready to be cut. So yeah, very handy little tool, nice and small, fit in your pocket. I wanted to build a push block that was very easy to print out on a standard 200 by 200 print bed on a 3D printer. So I came up with this little fella here. Initially I was just going to have a handle like so, and thought, well, may as well strengthen it with the extra piece coming down here. Let's form a little triangle. Still plenty enough for a big hand. I have extra large size hands. So this is what I came up with. This was my prototype, and this one works well straight off the print bed. You can see I've got a spot in there for your hand, obviously. This piece contacts the wood, and that little heel helps glide it through like this. Obviously you're able to hold it down from the tip there. That's great, but you know, sometimes you might want something with a little bit more grip. So I modified it ever so slightly, and I've made the heel bigger so as we can now stick on some of these little grip pads. There we go. Okay, so now this one's got all these non-slip rubber pads underneath, but the operation's the same. There we go, we've just got more sideways grip now. Okay, so both of these are available on Thingiverse. That one is named as the prototype, and that one's version 2. The upside, of course, with the prototype is it's slightly thinner, so if you need to get in between your fence and your blade, this one will get in closer for you than this one will. So what I've got here are some printed parts for what I'm hoping is going to be a half decent sanding block. I couldn't see anything to download that met the size of paper I wanted to use. Most of the little sanding blocks available on Thingiverse are skinny little detailed things, which would be very handy for a lot of things, but I just wanted a big sanding block for hand sanding, so I can have a few sanding blocks on the go with different grits. So I'm going to try this and see how this goes. You've seen these before. I showed you how to make these in a previous video. They're just a different colour now. So I'm just going to pop those through there, get rid of the stringing. Bit of stringing there. Okay, so I'm going to glue these nuts in place.
Hopefully. How's that dodgy glue? No, that's fine, that's good. Alrighty, so I'm going to pop in some super glue in here. Just a tiny bit. Okay. Alright, put super glue in the hole to hold the nut in place. Excellent. Alright, so that's those parts sorted.
This is the base of the unit, and these bolts go through there. So these nuts and bolts are M6. So you'll need 2 M6 nuts and 2 M6 bolts for this project. Okay. So that's the bottom of our sander. Now I've made the sanding block the size I have specifically because it's the same width as this roll of sandpaper. Quite easy to get near me. It's 100mm wide, quite common. So I assume it'd be common for most of you. So there we go. So the sandpaper then curls around here, like so. And we will have to adjust the length of this piece, of course. So how long's that? So if you make it 23 centimeters long, that would be a good fit. So we wrap the sandpaper around the ends like so. Pop the top portion down along the bolts. It won't always be that stiff, of course, and you won't always be lifting it that far up. Most of the time a little opening like that will be all you'll need.
There we go. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's a lovely baby poo brown hand sander. But you can slide it back down.
So there we are. Now if you wanted to, you could put a piece of soft rubber and glue that to the back of there. In fact, that's something I might do yet. But there we are. So there's one hand sander designed to be gripped like so. Actually, that's not bad. That's quite comfy. What I might do is I might actually just cut those nuts down so they're out of the way and file them smooth so that they're not a sharp hazard. I'm going to cut the excess off these bolts, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a couple of washers and put one over either side here, so I'm cutting just above the height of the knob so I don't score the knob with the hacksaw. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut towards the handle. I'd rather not, but I won't be able to get very far that way. So here we go. I'm just going to go over those now with a fine file. Now unfortunately the coarsest grit I've got that I can demonstrate this with is 120. Really we'd be after a 60 or something here, but let's give it a go anyway. There we go, let's give that a try. Actually, that feels really nice. This portion here seems to fit well in the palm of the hand, and you can curl your fingers around there quite nicely because it is so tall. The downside of it being tall, of course, is that it takes ages to print. Actually, that's doing a really nice job. The block doesn't seem to be getting too warm, which is good. Something to keep in mind with these thermosetting plastics is you can't get them too hot because that's what makes them deform. That's how they're printed in the first place. So this being PLA, of course, it would be susceptible to a bit of heat, but that's okay. It doesn't feel hot at all. And I was really going at it then. So that's the 100mm width sandpaper taken care of, but we also have 115mm here, and I assume elsewhere in the world too. I doubt it's that uncommon. So I made a second one that's 115mm wide. It works on the same principle. I've written 115mm on this one, so as it's easy to tell the difference. Two hand sanders ready to go, 100mm wide and 115mm wide. They'll take obviously the roll paper or strips cut to that width. You don't have to use the rolls. You can cut from sheets if you like. I will put both of these up on Thingiverse and you can download them as needed. One thing I will say with this one is I tried to print the whole thing on the print bed in one hit, and as a result there's some warping in the base. So I'm going to reprint the base separately. When I printed this fella, I printed the base separately and it's come out nice and flat. And I think the warping on this one is more due to the fact that it was near the edge of the print bed rather than anything else. But it's still holding the paper and it's still working, but obviously it won't do as good a job if parts of it aren't touching the surface. So yep, when you go to print either of these, do your base separately in the center of your print bed to avoid warping, and then you can print the knobs and the tops afterwards. Thanks for watching. Hopefully that's been of some use. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.